but I'm gonna kill myself.
Wow. I wish I knew what to say. I was actually just drafting my own suicide note just now. I have 32 fleeting minutes of happiness per school day, which has been eaten up again and again by the same especially badly dressed student. I finally thought I would rather have the dark, empty nothingness.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week I have a movie for you that I would have never watched in a million years if I wasn't bored out of my mind. I had never heard of this movie, not even seen the trailer, nothing. All I knew was that it starred Haley Steinfeld. Her face was on the poster, there was no way I could miss that. I hadn't seen her in much, maybe the Pitch Perfect films and that she might have been a singer, but that's it. My editor also brought it to my attention that she is in the Marvel's Hawkeye series. I had my presumptions about this movie. A teen girl, a teen boy, meet cute, misunderstanding, fight, makeup, kiss, roll credits. But to my pleasant surprise, I was proven wrong. And I need more people to know why this movie is a fresh take among the ever-growing mound of garbage coming-of-age movies. Before that, I don't like to say this, but I have to say it because I don't know. I have an innate fear that nobody will watch these videos. And what is my life if I don't get validation from random strangers on the internet? Can I even call myself a YouTuber? If you like this type of content and want to see more of me pop up on your feed, consider subscribing to my channel. Maybe hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you. Now we can get to the actual meat of the video and proceed with my unsolicited thoughts on The Edge of 17. Just for some context, for those who have not seen it, Netflix summarizes this movie as
a troubled teenager finds high school life even less bearable after she catches her childhood best friend hooking up with her popular older brother.
I think that's a rather superficial way to give context. I think the movie is actually about our main girl Nadine, who goes from being an extremely selfish teen to a slightly better person over a period of what seems to be like a week, which is an amazing progress for a teen. Now, this movie opens with a banger. It pulled my sleep-deprived brain from its stupor and I was hooked. Nadine walks up to Mr. Bruner and tells him how she wants to jump off the overpass in front of a semi or a U-Haul, but not a bus because
I'm not gonna be a dick and make people watch.
we think this is a genuine cry for help until Mr. Bruner set the tone of the movie with a sarcastic response to her.
Have a nice life without me.
What a way to kick off a movie. Besides that banger of a scene, many things make this movie work for me, but what stood out was the way the writers tackled Nadine as a character. They definitely didn't shy away from making her unlikable. And I don't mean misunderstood unlikable, but rather a self-centered, selfish brat who lashes out at people when she can't manipulate them into giving her what she wants. Too harsh? Okay, maybe so. But let's take a good minute to analyze Nadine's character.
Nadine, you had a brain operation. It worked.
Nadine is constantly victimizing herself
Where?
and always finds a way to blame others for her miserable situations and ongoing issues. Her favorite target happens to be her mother and brother. She believes her brother to be better than her and that her mother prefers him over her. And in the movie, this seems to be true.
What did I do to make such a perfect kid, huh?
But it's more nuanced than that. In Nadine's case, her mother prefers her brother over her as a consequence of Nadine's own behavior towards everyone. It feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy where she is difficult for no reason and they react to her accordingly, and then she proceeds to lash out even more, making them dislike her even further. This only leads her to become even more bitter, which she does.
You live for that shit.
Some might chalk her rebellious behavior to her puberty, but that's not true. Ever since she was a kid, she has had this rebellious streak
You could say my mother and I weren't exactly peas in a pod.
that could only be dealt with by her father and later on by her best friend Krista. Nadine as a character is written to be very unpleasant and it shows. She is extremely self-centered and displays this with varying types of selfish behavior that ranges from being rude in the face of disagreement to straight up trying to manipulate people into caving to her whims and fancies.
Tell everyone on Facebook that you pluck your nipples. How about that?
She often also mistakes her blatant disrespect and rudeness to be truth-telling or free-thinking, and this continues because no one calls her out on it, at least no one she values. Her mother and brother often call her out on her behavior, but it often falls on deaf ears since their opinions don't matter, and after all, they are just haters,
I'm leaving. No, you're not. Where are you going?
and their words are just noise to her. All of the above aforementioned characteristics are clearly visible in her interpersonal relations with those around her and how she treats these people, even the ones she cares about.
Fine.
Nadine's relationship with her mother and her brother just feels like one conversation away from turning into a very loud screaming match. Amongst both, Darian gets the worst of it. She might be pleasant and even supportive towards her mother, but she has zero sympathies towards her brother, taking every chance to belittle him to anyone who is willing to listen to her, Krista being her favorite sounding board. She has developed a sense of hostility towards her brother that stops her from empathizing with him. My take is that Nadine channeled all of her negative emotions for her mother and directed them towards Darian. But what do I know? I'm no psychologist, just a YouTuber with a hunch.
My hunch, my lovely Casey hunch.
She uses what I think is her most disgusting emotional manipulation tactic in the whole movie, where she takes Darian's moment of weakness during their father's passing and tries to guilt trip him into feeling like a lousy brother for not loving her as she loved him.
I wish you loved me that much.
And when he refuses to cave into her manipulation and calls her out, she lashes out and resorts to physical violence. And it's not just Darian, but she doesn't shy away from being a manipulative little to those she thinks she cares for. For example, Krista. She does this on
Not one, but two.
separate occasions. The first time at the diner, after Krista and Darian hook up, she creates a false equivalency of Krista sleeping with her brother to herself sleeping with Krista's father.
What if I liked your dad?
Yeah, no. Your friend dating your sibling is in no way close to your friend dating your parent. It's a certain kind of hell, sure, but it is in no way the same circle of hell. And then again, after the house party, where she tries to belittle Krista under the guise of her friend's concern and truth-telling as how Darian will dump Krista for the next hottest thing.
When Darian drops your ass for someone hotter.
What she really tried to do was to hurt Krista and make her feel insecure about her budding relationship with Darian. And when Krista pushed back, she drops an ultimatum on her.
Can't have both. It's me or him. Pick. No, I'm not gonna pick.
And Krista refuses to give in. She proceeds to end her friendship with someone whom she's known since second grade.
We're done.
The only friend she's ever had. Her self-centeredness is so deeply rooted, it almost enters the domain of egotism. Even her best friend, who is her only support system after her father's passing, isn't spared from her lashing out and her manipulative tactics. Irwin stood no chance. She uses Irwin as and when she feels alone, all the while trying to get with the resident baddie Nick from school. She didn't care about him and only saw him as a thing she could pass time with to fill the ever-growing void of emptiness inside of her. Irwin is an uber-rich, smart, awkward introvert who often misreads the situation.
Whoa,
What? Oh my God. I'm sorry. What was that?
Irwin, come on, man. He kept trying to win her over, and even though she's rude to him,
A man, huh?
he still laughed her transgressions away. Boy be simping hard on Nadine. And because he laughs it away, she doesn't realize that she's always using him whilst blatantly being rude to him. It's her interaction with Nick where we finally see her more vulnerable side. She tries to let her guard down with him, but all he wants to do is to follow through what she texted him. He is not interested in any sort of relationship or deep conversations. We see her insecurities about not being good enough, which could stem from her low self-esteem, and this spills out when she caves into Nick's pressure to get physical,
Don't leave.
only so he wouldn't leave. She eventually realizes that this is not what she wants and doesn't go through with it. Good on you, Nadine. The only real relationship she has is with her teacher, Mr. Bruno, played by Woody Harrelson,
Believe it or not, Twinkies have an expiration date.
who does a brilliant job in this role. This is just what this movie and Nadine needed. He's the only person she sort of submits to, only because he doesn't coddle her behavior but rather constantly calls her out on it. He doesn't let her off the hook, even when she tries to manipulate him into giving her an assignment extension by using her father's death. He shuts a weak attempt down immediately.
Yeah, I have a 1-year expiration date on freebies for the dead and dying.
Later on, when she breaks off her friendship with Krista and has no one to eat lunch with, she goes to him and rants about how she isn't like the others in her generation.
My entire generation is a bunch of mouth breathers. I am an old soul. I have nothing in common with the people out there, and they have nothing in common with me.
Maybe. Nobody likes you.
They don't hate me because I'm old. They hate me because of my personality.
When he pushes back on that, she lashes out at him by being pointlessly rude and disrespectfully presumes things about his life and career. He handles this brilliantly by not falling for her bait, and that's why their weird dynamic works, and she even comes to low-key respect him. They have a banter going on between them which is quite funny to watch. They try to rip each other apart, but it comes from a place of familial affection. Mr. Bruner takes the unofficial title of a guardian, whether she likes it or not. And even though it seems like he does not care for her, he does, because he's a big softie. Her only other true support system was her father, and when he passes away, she takes a bad hit to the point where she needs medication to cope with it. His death and puberty coincide together, and it is no surprise that she is as rebellious and difficult as she is. She, like most teens, struggles to navigate the transition to adulthood, always feeling lonely and confused, as though her problems are the only thing in the world and no one understands her. But none of this should be an excuse to be a shitty person. We see her use various forms of manipulation tactics and lash out in more ways than one. False equivalency, check. Emotional blackmail, check. Belittling, check. Throwing a tantrum, check. She tries it all and none of it gets her anywhere, just deeper into her own void. She doesn't know how to apologize because she doesn't think she needs to, often thinking everyone is out to get her and how she's the victim who needs to constantly push back and lash out. Despite Nadine being the insufferable shit that she is, there are times when I feel for her. One is when she finds out that her best friend slept with her brother, the person who she thinks has everything good in life and who couldn't stand to watch Nadine have one good thing, Krista to herself. From Nadine's standpoint, you can see how this feels like a cardinal betrayal. 2. At the house party where Krista blends in well and leaves Nadine to fend for herself. Now, I'm not saying it's Krista's responsibility to socialize Nadine, but who amongst us hasn't felt left out? And finally, the scene after the house party where she asks her mother to pick her up. She puts aside her troubles to provide support to her miserable, crying mother.
Sorry, I look like hell.
What happened?
So she wasn't all bad. She had shades of compassion in her. Deep down, but still, they were there. And eventually, after running around causing chaos, she does realize that she is the problem in her own life. She finally decides to fix her relationship with the people around her, starting off with Darian, where she admits to her own pain and owns up to being petulant and proceeds to comfort Darian for the first time, which is amazing growth. She even lets Krista back in and mends things with Irwin, who happily accepts her apology and introduces her to his group. And for the first time, she tries to fit in. I love seeing that character development. Overall, this film is very funny as well and has a lot of R-rated humor, which I enjoyed very much. I love this sort of filmmaking which shows you what the character thinks about the world around them, but also trusts the audience to judge that perspective. I thought maybe Hailee Steinfeld was not right for the role and wouldn't be able to pull it off, but I was pleasantly surprised and stood corrected on that assumption. Woody Harrelson is always good at what he does and plays a sarcastic teacher effortlessly. This is one of the best coming-of-age films out there, right at the top with Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, American Pie, and Mean Girls to name a few. I know this has been a long video, so if you stuck with me this long, I thank you for your time. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, write down your thoughts in the comments below. I would like to know your opinions on this movie as well. And with that said, I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.